Buenas noches, señores. Welcome to the Institute of Cuban and Cuban American Studies. This is an English presentation, even though some of the panelists might want to switch and do it in Spanish, and you are welcome to. I was asked to do it in English, so we'll bear with my heavy accent. Rafael Cerrato has written a concise and well-researched book with significant new details, new facts that shatter Castro's distorted propaganda of Che Guevara surrender and execution. Cerrato has direct access to two of the foremost participants in Che Guevara guerrilla fight in Bolivia and his death. Daniel Alarcón, alias Benigno, one of Guevara's closest lieutenants, who fought on his side till the bloody and bitter end. And Félix Rodríguez Mendigutia, my dear friend Félix, a Cuban patriot that working for the CIA, for the Central Intelligence Agency, became a leading factor in hunting down the cold-blooded criminal Che Guevara. In many ways, Félix and Benigno are living symbols of a generation that grew up in a violent and convulsed political environment that by 1960 was a ferocious totalitarian state. Today, Benigno and Félix, that were bitter enemies, are friends. And Félix will tell you many great anecdotes of them together walking in Paris in front of the Cuban embassy. But because Benigno, and this is important, Benigno understood that he was fighting on the wrong side. And Félix respected his courage and his vision, we could call it his new vision of freedom, that sealed a historical embrace of friendship between Félix and Benigno that might serve and open a dignified way for Cuba's reconciliation. Daybreak at La Higuera is a book of rich new evidence with 4 cardinal virtues. It synthesizes the ideas, is accurate, coherent, and clearly details the facts. If you want to go beyond the lies and distortions of Guevara's death, you should read Daybreak at the Higueras. A vivid description of how Guevara betrayed his famous promise to keep the last bullet for himself, but never to surrender to the enemy. Guevara, the assassin, the chief assassin of La Cabaña prison, betrayed his own promise. He was captured and later executed by the Bolivian army. Félix, by the way, did try to prevent his execution. Through Félix's indefatigable struggle, the book glimpses at the heroic fight of the Cuban resistance and the leadership martyrdom. I was very impressed by, and I use the word indefatigable, struggle of Felix. I have known him for many years, and reading the book, it grew my admiration on his patriotism and dedication. And thank you for what you have done, Felix. And just to finish, because we want your participation. In the pages of this book, I found something which also impressed me very much, and is when Felix and the other Cuban fighters that had entered the island clandestinamente, the help they received from the Cuban women. This is a story that has to be researched and has to be retold, because it is the story of young women that sacrificed their young life for the freedom of Cuba. There are many of them, and eventually, in a free Cuba, we should build a pantheon for the fighters, the women fighters of freedom. Now, congratulations, Rafael Cerrato. You have a book that shines with eyewitness accounts of historical events, secret missions, covert operations, intelligence gathering, daybreak at La Higuera, challenge much of the conventional narrative about the motive, personalities, and outcome of the event that led to the capture and death of Ernesto Che Guevara, the cold-blooded assassin of La Cabaña prison. And I will now go to present to you Francisco Frank Rodriguez, columnist, radio and TV commentator, and producer, related his experience in Operación Pedro Pan in the book Memoir to Pancho Montana, English and Spanish editor or Simon & Schuster and Thomson Reuters, originator of self-teaching courses Auto Inglés, Firma Press, with a Master of Art in Economics, University of Miami, and his thesis, Economic Development in Cuba, from 1902 to 1958. Welcome, Frank Rodriguez.